Alright, welcome back. So this is the Talwar, a tier 4 destroyer that is very iconic for me and it is very iconic for this channel. This is the ship that I was flying the most in the first beta and of course in the last beta. And this is the ship that I was doing the most kills with in the first beta and of course a big chunk of kills came with this ship in the second beta. Now, in this case, this is of course the full release of the game. I did change quite a bit in my fittings for this ship. Now, for the primary weapon, you'll be surprised to see which ones I have installed. But I have the Republic Fleet missile launchers installed on the ship, which is a very decent upgrade over the Mark 5 and Mark 7 modules that I was using before. And I have to say, these missiles do hit like a truck when I use them, and you will see more of them in the combat later on. Now for the medium slots, I have two Webifers, both are Mark 5, and I do plan to replace them with a faction Webifer and of course with a faction Disruptor. And of course, in the low slots, I have the Republic Fleet Micro Drive. I have also a Republic Fleet Ballistic Control, and of course I have a faction capacitor battery, because I need to have the capacitor alive with this ship in order to stay alive. Now this is a rather expensive build for the ship, since pretty much one of these missiles cost more than the ship itself, so that is kind of funny. But I decided to push this ship to its limits and I decided to go and to do the advanced missions. But this time I will be fighting cruisers and battle cruisers, so pretty much mostly tier 6 and tier 7, and of course in the future tier 8, 9 and of course tier 10. And well, this will be the first mission. It is quite a good paying mission, 1.2 million ISK, which I am very curious to see how I will get that ISK. And well, fast forward to the warping location. Now, keep in mind, I do switch from the ballistic control to a shield booster, because in these missions I do take a little bit of damage from each of these ships, and in order to preserve the ship and of course in order to keep myself fighting as long as possible, in some cases I will have to replace the ballistic control with a Mark 5 shield booster, which of course will be a faction shield booster when I find one. But so far, this ship is indeed very fast. I go around 1.5 kilometers per second, which is very fast for this ship, and of course with the current skills that I have. Now, the ship speed will of course be increased, since I'm working on the expert and advanced skills for the micro warp drive, which I am very curious to test out how will they work and how it will perform. But the ship's DPS is very satisfying. The alpha damage on these missiles is very high. I do get 1.2k damage per salvo, which is indeed very nice, and it will only get better because my skills for the small missiles is also going to be increased, and I do expect around 2.5k damage per salvo, pretty much a 2.5k alpha damage with these missiles, which is enough to one-shot most of the frigates, and it is enough to one-shot or two-shot most of the classic up to tier 4 destroyers. The Talwar has several variations of it. You have the Talwar Trainer, you have the Talwar Assault, you have the classic Talwar, and you have the Talwar Sniper. Pretty much 4 variations of this ship. And of course, I will be flying all of them, and I am very curious to see how each of these ships will perform. But a special place for me does have the classic Talwar, since the classic Talwar is the one and only Talwar that I was using in the first beta, and of course a ship that I was flying in EVE Online for a very long time, and I grew kind of attached to this ship in a way, since this ship is very reliable and it is also not that expensive. You can grab one of these for at least 3 million ISK at the current moment of this video's creation, but I am sure that the price of the ship will go down up to 1.5 million ISK in the upcoming weeks. And for its price, this ship does offer fantastic performance, especially in the aspect of PvP. This ship can be built to be a very decent long-range damage dealer for PvP fleets, and a wolf pack of several of these ships can do a lot of damage. You can take, for example, if one of these ships with the current build that I'm using is doing 1.2k damage alpha, then you can imagine what 10 of these ships can do. It is around 12,000 alpha damage per salvo from all of these 10 ships in a fleet. And there aren't many ships that can actually survive that. And keep in mind, I can do around the same damage, maybe a little bit less, of course, with Mark 7 and Mark 9 equipment. So even with a budget build, even with a budget fit, you can make this ship be very lethal. Now, for the range, you want to have good rigs, and I do have rigs that increase my range of the weapons. Of course, you can also use skills to increase your range, and you can also use the rigs for the damage increasement, but the current state and the current rigs that I use is so far very good. And for ratting and for PvE and of course for anomalies, this ship offers absolutely fantastic performance, since keep in mind, this is a tier 4 ship and this is a tier 7 mission. And usually when you do missions like this, you will have the danger icon when you tap on the mission. Usually it will say that your ship's tier is too low, and in my case it did say that. But well, it is absolutely doable with this ship, with this current fit, and so far I have no problems with this ship whatsoever. And I do plan to take a trip to nullsec, and of course I do plan to go and to do dead space sites with this ship, with this current equipment, since I am very curious to see how effective I'll be at clearing those sites. And of course, I am also going to do the expert missions very soon, and you guessed it, I will do the storyline missions with this ship as well. The storyline missions have a requirement of tier 8 and above, so I do expect a lot of battle cruisers and a lot of cruisers. So it will be very interesting to see how the ship will perform in such a situation. And by then, I'll also have very good skills for the missiles and of course for the micro drive. And of course, I'll be having very good skills and a different module layout as well, since I do plan to change my medium slots. I do plan to put a faction buffer, and I do plan to put a faction warp disruptor, since I do need a change, especially for PvP, since lately I did notice that people started to chase me around a lot. I don't know why, but they started to chase me around a lot, and well, having a warp disruptor and a faction faction buffer is absolutely a very good idea in such situations, especially in my current position, since I do get chased a lot in low sec for unknown reasons actually, since currently in the full release of the game I have literally 0 PvP kills as of now. There was supposedly a PvP fleet that was kind of announced for, I think it was for Sunday, but that was kind of cancelled because of some, I guess, something came up, I guess, and they had to cancel it. Unfortunately, I was very much looking forward for that fleet, but well, I'll be waiting for my next chance to join a fleet, of course, and I'll be potentially doing solo PvP very soon. Pretty much after I get my disruptor, I will jump on solo PvP just to see how the ship will work, and I think that will be very interesting. And I did see people are excited for PvP, and I am excited as well. and I can't wait to actually start to do that again. It's been a while, and I have to continue my legacy in PvP. And of course, I have to fly around with my Talwar since this ship is very good. Since currently no other destroyer that I did fly did match the performance of the Talwar, and I do have decent skills for other weapons. I do have decent skills for the other destroyers as well, and none of these destroyers actually came close to the performance of the Talwar. I simply have no problems flying this ship in pretty much any situation imaginable. And of course, I still have to attempt the tier 8 and above anomalies and missions, which you can expect in the upcoming days. But so far, absolutely zero problems with this ship so far. And it is very impressive that this is a tier 4 ship and it is so far excellent at doing these high tier anomalies and missions. Now, the other ship that kind of caught my attention is absolutely the Algos, and of course the Corax. The Corax is also very good. I think it has a very good range, and I kind of did not like the ship because it did not have the same micro warp drive bonuses. So that ship is good, but it runs out of capacitor very quickly, and it doesn't have the same signature radius reduction bonus per skill level as the Talar, so it kind of did not work for me. But that ship is also very interesting, and I might give it a try again. Algos is also very good since it uses drones, and you can make that ship be a drone mode. And for I think I could make that ship be effective as the Talwar, but I would need faction drones since that ship uses drones as its primary weapons. And I'll definitely try out that ship as well. And then there is the Ammar Destroyer, the Dragon, and I think that ship is. I'll be honest, that ship kind of did disappoint me in the last beta since I did fly it a lot, and it has a decent tanking fit, but its damage output wasn't that impressive. I didn't like its damage output. It is tanky, but it isn't a good damage dealer. But of course, things might have been changed now, and I'll definitely try that ship again. Well then, the first mission was done, and that was a 1.2 million ISK reward. That was very nice. I'll continue to pretty much performance test my Talwar and on to the next tier 6 mission. Well then, jumped in, and let's see how this ship will perform in these missions. Now, these missions give good rewards, and my current primary income comes from these missions since I do fly these missions a lot, and they they give good ISK, and of course they give good loot that I like to sell. So I do fly them. It's pretty much a win-win situation for me because when I play the Caldari missions, then I keep the loot because I do use the missiles for the, of course, for the cruiser that I have. But when I use the Talwar and when I do the Minotaur, Amar and Galante missions, then I pretty much mostly sell the loot, or I pretty much give the loot to my corp because the industry, the ones that are doing industry definitely could use the extra materials, and of course people who need equipment, they can pretty much take the equipment for free. And pretty much that's how I roll this. Now, so far, this is I think the fourth or fifth mission that I was doing with the Talwar in this way. And in some missions, I can replace the shield booster with the ballistic control. But in missions where I get hit constantly, I do have to equip the shield booster since I don't want to warp out every 5 minutes because my shield is running low. And they do still hit me. Not much, but they still hit me. And the shield booster is repairing me just enough to keep me in combat. And as you can see, my shield is mostly intact. The ship's velocity is mostly at full speed, and of course my capacitor is holding out very well. which is very interesting, since when you look at my cruiser, that thing runs out of battery faster than my phone. So that's kind of weird, since this ship is almost constantly running on the micro drive without much of a problem on the capacitor. And well, I guess that's just part of the Talwar, since this ship, by the way, if I had to make a list of my favorite ships in the game, the Talwar is definitely in my top 3. Now, is it like the top 1? Well, that's debatable. I still have to get the faction ships that I am looking for. But for random stuff, and of course for its price and for its performance, absolutely a number one in my list, because this ship is one of those ships that this is, by the way, my first bought Talwar in the game, and I'll make sure that this ship does not get. I'll make sure that I'll never lose this ship in combat, and I will fly this ship in PvP, and of course I have to, because this ship is the ship that started it all. On my very first video on Eve Echoes, I was pretty much flying the Talwar. I think it was the Talwar trainer, and afterwards I changed to the Talwar. But I started everything regarding the PvP content on this channel with the Talwar, and I owe this ship a lot. So, in order to pretty much make this ship I guess, in order to make this ship memorable, I'll definitely start the PvP series with this ship, since so far I was quite unsuccessful for PvP, and I do want to change that, mostly because I didn't have a warp disruptor. But like I said, things are about to be changed very soon, and I'll be getting a warp disruptor. And once that happens, well, then you can expect very decent PvP content. Well then, so far so good. These enemies are going down. Well, I can say that they're going down very quickly, because they kind of are, but I can still improve my damage output on the ship a lot, and it is kind of scary to think that this one Talwar is going to have over 2000 alpha damage, and I can't wait to actually try that out, since with that damage, with that kind of damage, this ship will be a threat even to cruisers in PvP, since this thing can actually take out a, like, my, for example, my Caracal has, I think it has 3000 shield, and I would need around 2 salvos to just destroy the shield on my own Caracal with this thing. And speaking of the armor, that's 1 salvo, and the hull, that's another 1 salvo, so pretty much, yeah, this ship can take out cruisers when I have it fully equipped, and of course when I have the skills for all the, when I have all the skills for the missiles, and of course for the other stuff that I have for this ship, including skills for the destroyers, because I still have to increase its. I still have to actually increase the destroyer command level. I think I do need to go for the expert and for the advanced ones, because I do need those. And it is also very good to note that if you have Omega now, and when you skill everything, the skills that you will kind of lose when you lose Omega are going to still have an effect even after you go Alpha Clone. So I will make sure to skill those skills as fast as possible, since I do need those. Well then, this is the next wave I see. Okay. Well, this is also very important to know that I usually like to target the closest ship to myself, because usually the closest ship is the ship that will represent the most threat to me, and of course the most threat to my ship. And those are usually the frigates and the destroyers. And well, I do kill the destroyers and frigates first, and afterwards I go and I kill the cruisers and battle cruisers, which is so far going pretty smoothly, going pretty good. I see no problems with taking out battle cruisers with this ship. It does take some time in some cases, but most of the time, judging the fact that this is a tier 4 ship, I can't complain. It's actually doing a better job with these missions than my Caracal. If I were with my Caracal here, then I think my Caracal would have actually been shut down here because it's slower and it's short range, and if I were 5 more kilometers closer to these enemies, then they would make Swiss cheese out of my Caracal. So thankfully that did not happen because I am in my Talwar and I do have long range, higher damage and better speed, and of course a more stable capacitor and a more stable tank. So that's very interesting. And also, when I saw this Nemesis, I kind of got remembered on my first Nemesis in Echoes that was shot down in the event in the beta, and I'll be getting a Nemesis very quickly since I have to also have stealth bombers. I can't live without stealth bombers since they can cloak, and cloaking is so convenient in nullsec and of course in lowsec that having a ship that's capable of cloaking in lowsec and of course nullsec is going to be very important for the future activities that I am going to attend in this game. Well then, and I think this will be the last wave. Now, here you can see that even a tier 4 destroyer that's properly built can take on tier 7 and tier 6 advanced missions. This includes tier 6, tier 7 anomalies as well. And of course, once I clear the storyline missions, and of course, once I start clearing the expert missions, then this ship will be capable at taking out even these high tier anomalies and high tier missions, and of course the very difficult storyline missions. And that is very important, cost effective that is, because not everyone is willing to spend 100,000 or a billion ISK for a ship just to do some missions. Since why spend that much ISK on a very expensive ship when you can pretty much buy a 1.5 million ISK Talwar, gear it out decently, and pretty much do the same that you can do even with these high tier faction ships. Since this ship so far is effective, very effective. Its effectiveness will only get higher as my skills go up, so it will be very interesting to see how this ship will perform once I have all the necessary skills for it maxed out, which will be happening very soon. Well then, this was it for this video, and have to say this ship was and still is one of my favorites in the game. Well, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed. Stay safe, fly safe, and well, I will see you next time. And of course, next time I'll be taking a look at more of the ships that I have. And who knows, maybe I'll be lucky at PvP and you will be enjoying some PvP action that I'll be doing for this game. Well, I'll see you next time. Take care.